So here I can just type in txt 5 stars student dot set text, and inside the parentheses I need to just refer to the name of the 5 stars review, okay, plus 2 double quotes, okay. Again, just type in here txt 4 stars student dot set text 4 stars review plus 2 double quotes, txt 3 stars student dot set text 3 stars review plus 2 double quotes, txt 2 stars student dot set text 2 stars review plus 2 double quotes, txt 1 star student dot set text 1 star review plus 2 double quotes. Okay, so now let's actually run our project and see what happens. So as you can see here, our application is actually running on this emulator, and here as you can see, let's actually click on this show me the results button here in order to see what's the results. Okay, as you can see here, these values are from this student reviews array. Okay, and here we are actually reading these values, and we are saying that we have 4 students with 5 stars review, we have 2 students with 4 stars review, we have 4 students with 3 stars review, we have 3 students with 2 stars review, and we have 1 student with 1 star review. Okay, and here we are actually reading the values that are actually inside of these student reviews, and we are outputting those values to the screen. Okay, everyone, as you can see here, our application is actually working right here on this emulator, but there is a really nasty bug in our application. If I actually click on this show me the results button here again, let's see what happens. Oh, as you can see, the values changed, 8, 4, 8, and again the values changed. So that's not right. That's a bug in our application. These values should not be changed, okay, because we are reading these values from these that are actually inside of these student reviews. Okay, as you can see here, the problem occurs when this for loop is executed inside of this onClick method. Okay, so when you actually click on this button, first of all, it's going to actually execute this for loop here. Okay, as you can see here, inside of this for loop, we have actually put some if statements here, and here I am saying that, for example, if student reviews subindex is equal to number 5 plus 5 stars review, then it's going to actually go inside of this array, and if it finds for example a value that is equal to this number 5, then it's going to actually increment the value of this 5 stars review by 1. Okay, and then it's going to actually output that value to the screen. Okay, so that's why we can see that these values are changing here when we actually click on this button here. Okay, because every time that we actually click on this button, it's going to actually execute this for loop here, and then it's going to actually go inside this for loop, and then when it finds a value that is inside of this array, and that value, for example, is equal to this number, it's going to actually increment the value of these variables that we created here. Okay, and here we are actually outputting the value of these variables to the screen. Okay, so there are 3 solutions to this problem. Okay, the first solution is to actually, after executing these lines of code, after this for loop and after executing these lines of code here, okay, so here I just need to type in btn results dot set visibility view dot invisible. So now as you can see here, I am actually putting this line of code here after executing these lines of code here, after executing this for loop, and then after executing these lines of code here, it's going to actually make this button between results invisible so that the user cannot interact with that button anymore. So let's actually run our project and see what happens. So now as you can see here, our application is actually running on this emulator. And here, if I actually click on this button, let's see what happens. Now we can see the results here, and now the button is gone. Okay, so as you can see here, now the button is invisible, and I cannot interact with that button anymore. So these are the results here, and as you can see, we've got 4 students with 5 stars review. We've got 2 students with 4 stars review. we've got 4 students with 3 stars review, and we've got 3 students with 2 stars review. And here we've got 1 student with 1 star review, okay? As you can see, these are the values that are actually inside of this array. And here I am actually reading those values here, as you can see. And then I am outputting those values to the screen here. So hopefully that makes sense. And there is another solution to this problem too. So let's actually go back inside this main activity.java file here, and let's actually comment out this line of code here. And here inside of this main activity class, let's actually create a Boolean variable, Boolean, and the name of this variable is first time. And then let's actually assign the value true to this variable, okay? And inside of this set onClick listener here, as you can see, inside of this method, as you can see inside of this onClick method, now I can just create an if statement here, okay? If first time, okay, if the value of this first time variable is true, okay, then we can actually put these lines of code here, these for loop inside of this first time, okay? And here after this for loop, after the ending curly brace of this for loop here, I can actually assign the value false to this first time variable. First time assignment operator false, okay? So now let's actually run our project and let's see what happens. So as you can see here, now our application is actually running on this emulator. And here, if I actually click on this show me the results button, let's see what happens. As you can see now, we can see the results here, okay? So let's actually click on this button again. As you can see, these values actually don't change here, okay? If I click on this button here, now you can see these values actually don't change, and our codes are actually working right, okay? So here we actually created a Boolean variable first time, and I assigned the value true to this variable. And inside of this onClick method, I said that if first time variable is true, if the value of this first time is true, then execute these lines of code here, this for loop. So the first time that we actually click on that button, on this show me the results button, the value of this first time variable is true, okay? So then it's gonna actually execute this for loop, and then it's gonna actually increment the values of these variables. For example, this 5 stars review variable, according to the value that is actually inside of the index of that student reviews array. And then after executing this for loop, after the ending curly brace of this for loop, we set that first time assignment operator false. So the value of this first time variable is now false. So, and then it's gonna actually execute these lines of code, and then it reaches to the ending curly brace of this method, and then it's gonna actually output those values to the screen, okay? As you can see, these are the values, okay? So now the second time that the user clicks on this button, as you can see here, now again it's gonna actually go inside of this onClick method, and again it's gonna check this condition if first time variable is true. So as you can see here, we assign the value false to this variable. So now when we actually click on this button, the value of this first time variable is false, so it's not gonna actually execute this if statement here, and then it's gonna only execute these lines of code here, okay? As you can see here, okay? We could even actually put these lines of code inside of this if statement. So let's actually delete this ending curly brace of this if statement, as you can see here, and we could actually put it here after these lines of code here. And let's actually run our project again and see what happens. So as you can see here, now our application is actually running on this emulator. So let's actually click on this button here and let's see what happens. As you can see, now these values are here, and let's actually click on this button again. Now as you can see, these values don't change anymore, okay? So hopefully that makes sense. And there is another solution to this problem.